Oopsies.
Oh my God.
All right.
I've been good so far.
You've been really good, Jeff. You're really behaving.
Do my best.
I just have small heart attacks every time you open your mouth.
Always put.
Till the boundary is the end of the world.
Don't know where the line is until you cross it.
This is the truth. Yeah.
Hopefully the stream is better now. Oh, that was nowhere close.
Alrighty. Is it the same link every time we restart the chat or the?
I don't
stream?
think so. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the stream. Yeah.
Of course,
Oh, well.
when the set is perfect.
Yeah. Good play. Okay.
Alrighty. I found it now. And we're all on our phones.
We are all on our phones, yes.
I'm
Except for
glued
Tim.
in. I'm glued in. I'm here for the fans, all right?
Yeah.
Not distracted.
It does look good.
Tough one on.
Well, that was us. I mean, that was someone's bank account and then two people working hard.
And Zach Hess doing nothing.
Yeah.
When you're the talent, you don't need to do it.
I did have some questions about the weight room. If you're college or high school that can come in, not on the chat, but I posted about the weight room on Instagram earlier, and it's just so people know it is MLB, MILB, professional athletes only. So we are closed off to that. Maybe down the road we'll open a sister company. But
Potentially.
yeah,
Not anytime soon.
one for the public, but not this one.
Yeah. Keep kicking my Chipotle. Maybe I should eat it instead.
Yeah, maybe you should eat your Chipotle instead. Be a good call.
I feel like nah. We've mentioned Chipotle a lot in these live streams.
Free advertising.
Yeah, every time we've eaten
At least
Chipotle.
could I get like free guac or something for like?
No, can't have that, sir.
Tim, are you a Chipotle guy?
It's a Colorado-based company when it started, so it's down
Is
by
that a
Denver
yes
University.
Or
What's it, sorry?
is that a yes or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was shaking my head yes as meant like
I didn't
yes, I
ask,
am,
like,
but
A fucking background check.
yeah. You're right.
You like
You're right.
it
That's
or
on
not?
me. That's on me. I'll take that.
Tim, what is your go-to lunch?
My go-to lunch. Right now, it's bison, peppers, and white rice.
And before this,
It was all about turkey Reubens for about 5 years straight.
yeah.
Turkey Reubens.
Yeah. Eggs
So-
for dinner, turkey Reubens for lunch.
Yeah, if you're wondering how you get to look like that, turkey Reubens. Powered by turkey Reubens.
Obbies, we have the meats.
Yeah. We have the meats.
Oh man.
We need to have a turkey Reuben.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it.
We have. But
Yeah.
now you've moved on to bison.
True. I'm okay doing a turkey Reuben break if we need to.
Tim, besides lifting the weights, what are your other hobbies include?
Hiking is a big one.
Mhm.
So I'm a native to Colorado. So that's why I brought up that's where I got confused with the Chipotle thing. And I was
Gotcha.
kind of, so I'm working on hiking all the 14ers in Colorado. So 14ers, a peak that's 14,000 feet. Depends on who you ask, but there's about that's kind of my main hobby. That's about it though. That's it for hobbies. How about you? What do you do outside of baseball?
I'm working on that.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, would you
Not
count
a whole lot.
Not a whole lot.
He almost lost that in the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. How much do you guys squat and bench?
Oh,
So I'll get this out of the way because I'm on the low end of this. My max bench ever is 235, and my max squat that I've ever measured is like 365. But those weren't full depth squats or full depth bench press because of my shoulders and my hips. So it was like a box squat, basically like a half squat and like a 3/4 bench press. So I'm the weak one here.
we'll probably go from weakest to strongest. Like so I'll start next after that one. 2 labrum surgeries, so pushing is not my thing anymore. I think highest I got was like 280 on bench, and then squatted 405.
Tosh has 17 anchors in his shoulder, by the way. So that's a legit excuse. It's not
that is.
BS.
That is, yeah.
So what are we doing? We just shouting out maxes here?
Maxes.
Thanks. Back squat, best was 415. I don't think I've ever done a max straight bar bench. I think max dumbbell bench was like hundreds for
That's not a
3.
strike.
I feel like we'd probably be, because we've got similar length arms. You
Uh,
probably
I'm not a very strong upper body, like
Yeah.
in the chest. Like
Yeah.
can row,
yeah.
but
Big
yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's how you need to be for pitchers.
And
Let's get it. Let's hear it.
Oh,
take yours and
raw
judge it.
back squat. I've never done back squat with the belt or braces. Was 600 raw, full depth, and then flat bar bench was 435.
It's like double
so-
mine.
Yeah.
huh. I'm just gonna sit in here and then
Anybody want to ask a yoga question?
What's your favorite pose?
Yoga
That's a good
pose?
one.
Yeah. Oh, dead man
Oh
pose.
man.
I don't know that one. What's that one? You just lay there?
When it's all over and you just get to lay there in your sweat.
That's
Yeah.
not called dead. Is it called dead man's?
It's called dead man.
I
And
thought it was
yoga.
like-
Yogis don't
thought it was
call that.
sleeping
There's
baby.
no way.
Oh, sleeping babies, like when you grab your feet and like bring your knees
get it.
into your armpits.
Okay.
We call that the big league stretch position. Actually,
Really?
we go out for stretch in spring training. And like, oh, big league stretch. Everyone just like lays down
Yeah.
for like 30 seconds. All right, we're warm. Let's go.
Yeah.
we're here.
That's our active warm up for the day. Man, two of those strikes are well off the plate to JD there.
You ever tried doing one like for an exercise credit in college? I did Pilates. I made it through one class, and then all the muscles I'd never worked on before.
Yeah.
I was so sore, my back was killing me.
Mhm.
I couldn't go back. I had to drop the class.
When I first
Pilates
started
will
doing,
get you, man.
Yeah.
when I first started doing high yoga, like my first class,
Is that Bikram?
I've done
Why'd you do
Bikram,
that?
I've done like vinyasa flow.
You need to lose the weight from being 240.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I thought that's why you got COVID is to lose the weight. I thought that's you were just.
Bad joke. I started in high school. Walk in, and it was the weirdest experience ever because I was seeing like CrossFit guys who were yoked out of their mind, just on their knees,
Good
panting,
swing.
and then you would see like a 43-year-old soccer mom in the back row just chilling, nailing every pose.
Crushing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Found I guess like controlling your breath is like one of the biggest things to like being
Well, there's
able
also-
to handle it.
I think I've seen this I've done this on TikTok or something. There's ways that like center of masses
Mhm.
that like men have harder like times dealing with certain kind of yoga positions than women might.
Yeah.
But either way, it's tough. Pilates kicked my ass real
Oh,
bad.
that's not close. That was way up
I almost
there.
missed practice that day.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
I personally think like yoga is okay, but I don't think it really is a good thing for athletes to do. I think the yoga or like the breathing and the mindfulness thing is great, but the over lengthening, of musculature, stuff like that, I don't think that's necessarily the greatest thing. What are your thoughts on that personally, on your perspective?
So I started doing it because I hit like 2 massive growth spurts midway through high school.
Yeah.
Not more so like early, like middle school going into high school. Like I started off 8th grade. I was like the short, fat kid. like for most of my life, and I started off like 8th grade as like one of the shorter kids in my class. I was like 5'2", and then at the end of the year I was 5'11", and then freshman year started at 5'11", and then ended at 6'4.5", 6'5", what I am now. So like muscle tissue, like just overall, like I guess muscles in general, like hadn't caught up with like my bone structure. So like everything, alignment, like was always tight. And I was just also like incredibly weak because I hadn't been in the weight room before. So I started into yoga, but I just heard that, you know, if you're trying to like increase flexibility and, you know, it's great for pitching. So, and with some of the injuries that I had faced, I thought hot yoga would be like a good thing for me. So I tried doing it in high school and I enjoyed it. Like, I think there is like a point where it helps you to a certain extent. And then I think anything after that is you're not really getting much out of it. Something I like continue to do in college and a little bit in the pro ball, but I think it helped me for the time being. But like, if I were to go back and do it now, I'm not really sure how much I would get out of it. And I don't feel like there's any more mobility needed to gain to do what I want to do.
Yeah. Do you feel like you gained mobility from doing it? Or do you think you just had that mobility already and like
Just had to work towards it.
Yeah.
So I think it was more so, I think one of the, actually being like doing hot yoga, like the yoga itself is fine, but I think what helped me more was being in like 105 degrees for an hour and a half and doing like active movements to like explore new ranges of motion. So it very well could have been that it was already there. I just needed to like go sweat my ass off and like explore ranges of motion while under extreme heat.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right, chat. We got any questions for Tim? Any questions for Tim? Is Tim straight? That's the first one that comes in. Let's see here.
Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. I do have a son. He's 7.
Why is Tim kind of buff?
I feel like that's a
Turkey Rubens.
We got
requisite for being a strength coach.
Tim was actually very skinny as of like 3 days ago, and then he built this entire weight room behind us, and now he's jacked. So
We actually, because of the IT stuff that I can do, he's actually very skinny. Just CGI.
Yeah.
Tim, are you bald?
I am bald. I don't got to hear. That's a prerequisite for strength conditioning coach too, right?
I think that's true. Yeah.
I also heard that your name needs to be Dan in order to be a strength coach.
Now, do you shave? Like, are you partially bald or fully bald?
So in college, I remember like my sophomore year, I pulled off my helmet and it was just coated with hair. So it's like bald up here. So like that's when it all started. And so yes, I buzz it. I keep it like this and kind of the thinned hair look. So that's my preference.
Yeah. I gotcha.
Good questions.
I was hoping for something more scientific. You know, we had the core one. We'll go with that. And we had yoga discussion. So appreciate your insight, Hess.
Tim, what is good running form that can help from straining your hamstring?
Ooh. So in kind of running itself, you're gonna have different phases. So you're gonna have like your kind of dry phase, and then a transition to your top end speed. So usually, what I would say we see where the hamstrings will tear or pull is as you transition past the dry phase and your strike is actually in front of you. So if you think about when you're running, if you look at yourself from the side, if that kind of, I guess, stride as you're coming forward is in contact with the ground, that puts a lot of stress on the hamstring. So the hamstring activates to pull your body through to the next step. So the overuse of that, the wear and tear, ends up being a pulled hamstring at that point. So
what should it be? More of like a push?
It should be underneath your hip, so that way it is that push. Yeah.
Kike, couldn't do it again. Lead off single. Dangerous play right there, diving on a no out single.
Yeah. You think he did that based off position because he had the left fielder kind of behind him?
Could have been, yeah. And it also wasn't hit too hard, so it was just gonna like if it gets by him, it's not gonna go super far.
Yeah.
But yeah, almost got
6
there.
inches.
Apparently, Tim needs to be Mr. Clean for Halloween.
Oh, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Okay, so it should be you should be foot striking under your hip and
Yes.
pushing through
Striking and pushing through.
as
Yeah,
opposed
propelling forward.
to landing and pulling through.
Yeah. In front, we'll get the hamstring to pull through. Underneath, we'll get the glute to fire. And you do want a firing pattern of the glute to be the first thing going. Yeah.
Right.
I got a quick one for you. So they asked, do you train any non-baseball athletes? And I would like to extend this question. Like, how do you see when it comes to training? I know it's hockey, football, basketball, or baseball is like the main three. When it comes to that, obviously you wrestled, played football. How do you take some of those things for, say, training baseball players or hockey players, and like how do you adjust that?
Oh wow. So I forgot the first question. It was what sports do I train? Okay. So I just moved out here in March after 11 years of strength and conditioning in Colorado. Pretty much did every sport. Like we talked about earlier, I've done figure skating. I've done, volleyball, hockey. I've pretty much done all the sports. Isolated my career towards more beach volleyball, football, baseball, and hockey. And in Colorado, hockey was probably my biggest following. But so yeah, that's kind of the answer to that question. And then as far as different movement patterns that cross over, actually Trevor and I were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, how when you're thinking about movements that a pitcher will go through, and then also similar movements that cross over. So you think about just building a ground ball, and how that lateral movement can also be classified as maybe a lateral step, a slide step in a blocking offensive lineman. Obviously different to some extent, but very similar in nature. So you're going to have a lot of those crossovers. So like when people are talking about being sport specific doesn't exist in the weight room. Sport specific exists on the field. So if you think about the throwing motion itself, the pitching motion is sport specific, but you can't take that movement and put it in the weight room. You have to build the foundation and the, I guess, attributes of that movement that will transition to the mound.
Yeah.
To kind of answer that question.
Yeah, that's a big thing that I hear. Like, it's a big concept that I run into. Weight room is it's intended to build the capacity, to build the actual ability to like raise your ceiling, so to speak, build the engine. And then you have to go apply those things out into, oh man, that's not a strike. That's not close.
No.
So yeah, you build the things in the weight room and then you go out and apply them in your sport, in your specific movement. We've talked a lot about the crossover of how specific do you try to get in the weight room versus how general do you try to get there. And what I mean by that is, do you try to do like a med ball throw that simulates exactly the sequence of events that you're going to go through on the mound? Or do you feel like you can't get too close to what you actually do on the mound because you'll never get all the way there, and it's going to then take away from the movement ability on the mound if you're trying to do it in the weight room?
Yeah.
I don't know if I explained that very well.
No, I think, I guess my take on it is if you are going to do a rotational toss with the med ball, though the arm action is not the same, everything else could be close to being the same. So for myelination and nervous system principles, you should try to mirror that as much as possible. So you should think about a bottom up. You should, get the femur turned over, hip shoulder separation, and then transition to the med ball movement itself. It'll be close, but it's not going to be identical. But at least you're getting, somewhat similar there. So
that was a big out right there to get Bregman. Wow. Double. Oh, my goodness. That was almost disaster.
That's just
that was almost disaster for the Red Sox, and then immediately almost disaster for the Astros.
I'd contend that's maybe the most athletic play I've seen in the playoffs for a while. Like the fact he caught that and then made
dodging,
throw it over his teammate off 1 foot and threw an absolute seed to first base.
Just
man.
Wow.
Like great throw here.
Almost doubled them up.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty good.
That's 2 people in the last 2 innings, though, that have seemingly, well, I don't know if they lost that in the roof or not, but there's been some
It's been tough.
shakiness on fly balls here recently.
Yeah.
Tim, I'm gonna go back to this and I'm gonna play devil's advocate because we were kind of talking about it the other day. Like in regards to like mimicking like sports specific movements in the weight room, like to get more, I guess, like take this to an extreme. We talked a little bit the other day, or you talked to me about like possibly doing a movement in the weight room and then immediately going over to like plyo mound and like actually doing a throw. Is that something that you've done before? Like what led to that idea? And like, is it something that you've like done with athletes before?
Yeah, the general concept is post-activation potentiation. It's been in strength and conditioning for a while.
Yeah.
So basically, we're not necessarily reinventing the wheel of weight training, but we're trying to progress the field. And so I'd say those concepts are purely just our ability to progress forward. Like, a squat's a squat, deadlift is a deadlift. It's not going to ever change, but how you coach it changes. And then also how you apply it and certain principles will change as well. So I think for me, I was very fortunate when I first started in this field to my old college roommate. He basically got me insight onto the triphasic and French contrast training before it was actually even a book. And so I started working those principles way back when, about 11 years ago. So and then throughout the evolution of the programming, that's something that I just kind of started to learn and transition, and it's worked before. And I had a lot of great results with other professional athletes. And so that's where it's kind of, I guess, progressed through.
So give the viewers, because the viewers are a lot of check swing drama here in the postseason the last couple of days, huh?
Brutal.
I don't know why they're so confident about it either.
At least they,
That's the part that's been killing me. That is.
That's
okay.
it. I got that.
I'd be
being a
confident
swing.
about that one too.
And that call can't be reviewed, right? They
Oh,
can't do a
man.
check swing review. It's all
No.
okay. It's all
Yeah.
subjective.
Yep.
Yeah. So give the viewer an example of what a post-activation potentiation grouping of movements might be.
Okay. Yeah. So I think a simple one would be, let's say, back squat, like an eccentric back squat, and then you pair that with like just a regular squat jump, body weight squat jump or med ball squat jump, something like that. So, the sequence of what some of the things that we'll do that's very common is all actually more kind of plyometric movements in there. So we'll do a eccentric back squat, usually at 1 rep, and then we'll take a little bit of a break, and then we'll go right into a body weight plyometric. So just squat jump, box jump. Then we'll do a weighted one. So it'll be at a reduced weight, under probably 40%. Usually we'll hold on to a med ball or we'll do a hex bar. And then we'll do assisted squat after that. And assisted will reduce the weight, and basically it'll just kind of train the nervous system to fire at a faster rate than what your body's capable of currently doing.
So you actually kind of stagger it. So you go heavy to like body weight, a little bit more weight to less than body weight.
Yep, to less than.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is that like you do those 4 in a row and then you go right back to the squat and you do it again, or are you mixing like a squat then with like a different movement in that, or?
So that'll be pretty much isolated to itself. We would focus just on squat.
Gotcha.
Some of the things you struggle with in strength and conditioning when you're coaching it is like all 4 of us, we might only have one of the 4 that's actually good at squat. And it's just something too that, when you pick a main lift that you want to go into PAP with, so post-activation potentiation, you want to focus on the lift so you get good at that lift. So by the time you're into that block of your training, you have all the kinks out, so it's just really to really perfect the movement, make sure you have good form, good, loading patterns too is another thing.
Gotcha.
So a plyometric exercise, throwing can be considered a plyometric exercise, right? So for pitchers, do you ever like what would you put together if you were going to use throwing as the plyometric exercise? Do you ever do that where you're doing a lift in the weight room and then you go do a throw and then you come back and do, because the throw would kind of be like your body weight exercise. So maybe you're throwing a 5-ounce ball, and then you come back and you do a little bit more weight of something in the weight room, and then you go throw an underload ball. Like, do you ever do a progression like that?
Yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily change the ball weight, but I would. So if you're going to do a bilateral movement, so a squat, you're going to do bilateral jumps. If you're going to do unilateral, so like a split squat, one movement that we commonly do, you're going to keep that unilateral throughout the progression. And so, you would do a split squat. You would go into the mound. You would probably just keep. For me, I would personally just keep the same weight because we're working on PAP of lower body, so the weight in the actual hand does not, for me, matter. But what's actually present in the leg recruitment does. And so you would do your mound throw, and then you'd work maybe a resisted push, so lateral push. So maybe we'd do like a partner resisted lateral bound, and then you go into some kind of assisted. So we have overspeed bands, so we'd hook up and then go with the motion of overspeed.
Gotcha. So you're not looking at PAP for upper body necessarily. You would mainly do it in the throw if you're using the throw as like one of the exercises in the cycle. You're just looking at the lower body.
Yeah. And we will throw in PAP work for upper body as well, like plyometric, just arm speed movements, so quick pushes, stuff like that. But it's not heavily focused, for at least my beliefs.
Brazier. Deep into the pen already in the 5th.
Thanks for that, Tim.
Yeah, I love the questions. I love the topics. I can talk for a couple more hours if you want. We'll move on.
See, I'm not always just a smartass to you. Like I can.
No, I appreciate it. Yes, I'm really looking forward to this offseason with you, man.
Tim, have you written a book?
No, I have not.
The chat says, someone in the chat said, I feel like Tim needs to write a book.
Oh man, I mean, finishing grad school, I got burnt out with writing. So give me a couple years, and I've always thought about maybe like a PhD pursuit next. But I think that would come before a book, and then maybe a book after. We'll see. We're still evolving the program, so always changing it, always progressing.
I like the face high target on the
in the dirt.
Yeah, for the breaking
in the
ball in the dirt. That doesn't seem obvious at all.
No.
Let me get in a really low crouch, but act like I want to throw it way up here. Oh man, there's another good one in here. Podcast for Tim.
Ooh.
Oh, we're gonna have one. It's gonna be a group chat, not just me. It's gonna be all of us.
So nice roundtable,
yeah. Guess stay tuned for more Tim content for sure.
Yeah.
What did I do to gain velo in high school besides the weight room and throwing programs? Well, I didn't do weight room in high school. I didn't actually start lifting until I was out of college. I did a ton of speed work, med ball work, and speed work, sprints, med ball tosses, like 4-pound med ball throws, a lot of weighted ball throwing, a lot of long toss, just all explosive, fast twitch type of stuff. I feel like you'd have a different.
See, I was getting ready to ask you, what was your mindset when you were in high school about avoiding the weight room? Because for me, it was the complete opposite. Where I wasn't like a naturally like hard thrower, but once I like hit those few growth spurts, and once I was at the end of that, the velo didn't come until I started attacking the weight room, attacking my mobility issues, and I didn't start pitching full time until I was 16. And when I started training myself for pitching, I got into a weighted ball program. It was the MPA one that was founded by Tom House. I did some work with Jamie Evans, who was around my area. He basically was the Tom House of like the East Coast. So it was those components that helped me. But what was your idea about not getting in the weight room? So
I focus so heavily on high throwing volumes and fast twitch. Like I need to move very, very fast to throw hard. That was kind of my ideology at the time. So I felt like adding weight was going to slow me down, and I just wanted to move very fast. I didn't understand anywhere close to as much as I understand now, but I just did speed and plow stuff nonstop. So for that time, like I got really good at rebounding energy and moving fast. Now I didn't have the strength to generate the power. So I would just move as fast as I could down the mound to generate the energy using gravity and using like speed and stuff like that. and then I would just be I had really good arm speed and whatever. But I didn't throw hard either. I was. Is he gonna get there?
Yeah.
Oh,
key K.
Ooh,
Man.
wow!
Look what I found.
I'm
Did
happy he
that
can
ball
smile.
come back?
He can smile because he keeps making the plays.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was almost disaster. There was near disaster all inning that inning.
Yikes.
Wow. I wonder. Look at his face.
I know.
He's like, oh shit, that could have been bad.
Yeah, it could have been really bad. But yeah, I mean, to come back to the topic, I wanted to move fast. I did a ton of plyo stuff, and I just threw really hard. But I didn't throw hard early in high school. So I know my thought was like, I'm an undersized guy, and I'm not big, and I need to find a way to throw hard. So I'm just going to try to throw hard and move fast a lot. Started that after my freshman year. I was like 76, 78 my freshman year. And then I was like 83, 85 my sophomore year, and 90 to 93, topping 94 my junior year. And I didn't lift at all. I just did the plyometric stuff, which now, and this is probably a question for you, Tim, but looking back on it, at that time period in your life, you're basically on a natural cycle of steroids when you're going through puberty, right? So you have like really high levels of growth hormone and testosterone and whatever else as your body is changing. And so a lot of the work that I did on the speed side of things is probably why I'm so good at rebounding energy now. I built up some tendon strength because that was all that my training was really focused on. It wasn't really focused on muscular size or muscular strength or power output. So even now, like when I do running guns, when I do pull downs, the faster I run, the harder I throw because I can stop the energy very well. But if you put me in a static position on the mound, like I'll throw 87 30 seconds after I threw 105 on a pull down. So it's not like I'm loose or it's a different day or anything like that. It's like when there's more energy in the system, I stop it very well. And I probably got a lot of those properties and the tendons and stuff built up at that time period of my life. But how would you approach like kind of long-term athletic development if you're taking a kid from like 10 years old through he's going to play till he's 35? Like what are the blocks of time? Like how would you train him through those years?
There's a term called long-term athletic development that approaches every single kind of age bracket that you have, from infancy all the way up, and when to introduce training, when to work aerobic, when to work speed, when to introduce weight training. You really want to feed what your body is giving you. So if you think about in high school, very testosterone driven for a teenage boy, and so one thing that you can feed it with is going to be obviously things that build muscle. So it'd be weight training. And I also I kind of want to turn the answer to like maybe a question back to you real fast, because if you were to take that training program back then, the high just volume of explosive movements, how would your body respond today with that? Do you think that you'd be able to keep the same volume? Would you have to reduce the volume? Would you have to change it up? What is your take on that?
Looking back on what I did back then, if you copy and pasted that program till today, just not the throwing program, which obviously is a part of it, but just what you would consider the strength and conditioning program, I think that I could handle that volume no problem today. But back then it was exhausting for me. So, but I think that because now I have more capability, I'm stronger, I have more, muscle mass, I have more endurance, I accomplish these movements better. The one thing that I did have a lot more of back then was just general energy. Like I feel like I can move fast, like very repeatedly for a lot of reps with very little rest in between. I feel like I recovered a lot better than I do now. But if you just copy pasted the program, I think I'd breeze through it nowadays, like no problem.
Yeah. Recovery wise, you feel like in between bouts, you'd be able to recover better now or better back then?
I think probably recovered a little bit better between bouts in a given workout session back then, just probably because I just had a capacity built up. I had built up a tolerance for that type of volume, which I haven't done in 8 or 10 years. I'm doing a lot more of it this off season. But I think with a little bit more rest now, my power numbers would be way up now. My speed numbers would probably be way up now just because I'm a more capable athlete.
Yeah.
Like this was my understanding of things back then. This is my approach back then. I just want to move really fast, and it doesn't matter how big I am. I'm just going to move fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in high school. I was 165 pounds, topping out at 94. I'm 205 now, and I top out at 97 or 98 in the game. So there's a definite improvement there. But in college, my junior year of college, I topped out at 97. And I was 175 pounds. And now I top out in this season. I think I topped out at 97, and I'm 205 pounds. So like, it's just my average came up a lot.
Yeah.
And the ability to get through a whole season, I'm a lot stronger now, and that's come up as well.
Yeah.
But
so a lot of your training right now pertains to your longevity and being able to stay healthy throughout the season.
yeah,
I think that'd be a huge thing. I think about too, like when you're working with so kind of come back to the question, when you're working with a high school kid, their ability to recover because of the presence of testosterone and other hormones that are going through their system at that point, growth hormone, as Hess was talking about, his growth spurts, stuff like that. That's huge. And so for me, a high school kid can handle more bracket of recovery and that ability to handle such volume. That's what just happened here.
what happened?
A bunch.
There's a
Not sure if he tagged him.
yeah.
it
I
basically
didn't
went
think he
right into
tagged. Where does he?
The elbow.
Right
The elbow,
there.
yeah.
Oh, he
got
does
on the
get him.
skin, yeah.
Wow. That's by the fingernails length.
Yeah.
He got his weenus.
Got the
He
weenus.
got the weenus.
I haven't talked in a while. I had to pull it out.
Is that reviewable though? Is that reviewable?
It has to be, right?
It's in front of the bases though.
The call on
It's
the
a
field
tag play.
stands. He did indeed get the weenus.
Our FBI agent is watching. He says that rogue rack looks pretty good.
There you go. Our FBI agent.
Brandon, yeah.
Well, that's the typical meme now. Like
Yeah,
whenever you're on
yeah.
a phone call, we're like, oh,
Yeah.
the FBI agent.
We got the
listening on
IT
this
guy,
call.
the YouTuber, and
Yeah.
the comedian. Yes.
Oh, he did signal safe there.
Yeah.
The home plate umpire. Big call here. No outs. He did get him though.
Right there.
Right
You can see
there.
it, yeah.
Yeah, you can see his finger like got his elbow. Maldonado knew felt it. Yeah, he's out. Okay, you got it right.
It's so funny over there.
I was looking through the chat, and then of course somebody had to comment on how white my legs are. Thank you. The lighting definitely helps. But yeah, former Canadian, white skin. I've been wearing shorts in Arizona for a few months. This is what I got. Sorry.
Wait, you wore
Why are we so pasty?
pants in the hottest part, and now you're wearing shorts, and it's 80 degrees outside?
Got to keep you on your toes.
Oh, you're
That's
right.
right.
You'd expect me to get tan too, but I'm not.
Oh man, big moment in this game. Okay, so we got interrupted by this enthralling baseball game that we're watching. So for a guy in high school, you're talking about feeding what's going on with his body
Mhm.
and has his growth spurts.
So yeah, build capacity of strength, build capacity, pretty much all energy systems at that point. Is kind of my take. So you can build capacity and plyometric elastic principles. And the risk is so low because of just how I guess mobile and how I don't even know what the right word is. Like almost
Pliable, maybe?
Yeah, pliable. That's the right word right there. How pliable the in nature we are in high school. Then the pliability decreases, and as we get older, tighter, and just more and more nicks and dings start coming up. Recovery rates start going down. As far as we needed more recovery.
More
time in
time,
between
yeah,
each one.
yeah.
So
So you would take a kid in high school and you would put him on a capacity program first, so that's just going to be large volumes in the weight room.
Mhm.
And then as his teenage years go along and he's developed a baseline of strength and conditioning, you would take him and actually start doing the plyometrics with him after he had the strength base.
Yeah. Because you need to build aerobic capacity and have some speed training prior to high school. Usually what I do is if I have a kid that's working with me before high school, we'll teach weight room movements. So that way, while their body's not ready to handle it, they're perfecting those movements. So when we get into that high school age, they're ready to go.
Yeah, that makes
so
sense.
I don't have to spend a year teaching them how to squat, how to deadlift,
So what are the movements that you're teaching? Are you teaching like a clean with like a broomstick thing, or are you teaching just general like deadlift, squat with like basically no weight? Like,
It'll clean is a little bit tricky. I definitely would spend some time doing it, but I'd say squat, holding onto a med ball, doing a goblet squat. I am a big teacher in cleans, not because I'd like to do it myself and I actually program it. It's more so I know colleges do it. And so my job is to prepare a kid for college.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, prepare them for college, and then let their athletic career take off and the way it shows. So that way, as they go through high school, if they get the chance to play college, they're ready in the weight room. So as a freshman, they can show up and look like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And not get hurt too.
Exactly.
Because they don't know what they're
I'd say
doing.
that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you think, knowing a little bit about my history, if you look back at all I did was speed in high school, do you think that I missed out on potential velocity gains that I could have had because I didn't maximize that portion of my life? Or do you think that I just developed certain properties that like I might have been stronger but a little bit less elastic, so it might have evened out to be the same kind of genetic ceiling? Like how do you see that?
I think I'd be really curious to know a younger Trevor, because I'd like to see were you gangly, were you all over the place? Did you struggle with balance and coordination? Could some of the body awareness things on the mound have been more developed if you had a weight training background of a foundation of strength? I think all of those would play into it. Would it have, increased velo? I mean, as we know, like even in Hess's example, like he put on size, he was stronger, he had every attribute you think would translate to the mound, but the velocity did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to chase this magical formula to increase velo. And there's just so many details that play into it. So I don't know that there's a right answer, but I'd say also that I think it would have helped, and it might have helped in different ways. Maybe not a velo kind of concept, but maybe in a way to help you better develop as a pitcher and your form and kind of, I guess, fine tune that as you're going throughout your career.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because Hess throws, you average, take this past year out of it, you're a high nines guy, right?
I think in 2019, my average velo in the pro season was 94.4, was average four-seamer. And then the bits of 2020 that I got to participate in averaged just under a hair of 96. And then this year was 92.8 with some of the stuff that we experimented with this offseason.
Yeah. Okay. So two different approaches. You were in the weight room a lot in high school. I was in the weight room none, and ended up about the same spot from a velo standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like listening to Tim talk about how high school athletes in the volume that they could handle. It makes a lot of sense because I don't know if you feel this way with some of the stuff that you were doing with being more plyometric based, but I look back on what I did at 18, 19 years old, and heart was in the right place. But I remember my first winter break, my freshman year at LSU. I was home for winter break and, was really determined. I didn't have the best fall with our team. So I was really determined to kind of come back and, see if I could win a starting job or win an important role in our bullpen. So, I was doing our off-season lifting program that our strength coach had prescribed to us. And I was doing hot yoga 3 times a week. And I was also training for our conditioning test, which was 16 110-yard dashes. And then I had this idea, well, I didn't have the understanding that it's not just about working hard. It's like outsmarting your competition and working smart. But I just was under the impression that the volume and actual workload is going to beat the competition. So I was doing the squat cover of, I'm a pitcher, I need to have strong legs too. So there were days where, and I was doing our off-season throwing and long tossing while I was doing that. So there were days where I would wake up and go to a hot yoga session for an hour and a half in 105-degree heat. Then I would drive to my high school football field a half hour later and run 1,600 10-yard dashes. And then I would do my throwing program. And then I would go eat lunch. And then I would do our LSU strength program. And then I would go back to the gym like that night and do like the squat toe over, where like you're basically doing some sort of leg exercise every single day.
Yeah.
And was able to handle that at 19, but looking at that now, it's like, where the hell was your mind at? But art was in the right place, but just I can't really imagine doing that now at 24 years old.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. This is generally where I see a lot of like youth athletes and those progressing into, say, I mean, you're a youth athlete generally in my mind. Once even in high school, at that point, you're an amateur athlete. Obviously, you're showing that you have some skill and you can possibly, I mean, a lot of high schoolers get drafted to play professionally right away. So during that time period where the workload is very high, I mean, it's the same capacity where a lot of guys played 3 or 4 sports that at the high, say in high school, is that's usually where I focused on the ability to learn different kind of skills. That's where you just can recover so quickly that your ability to learn those things at high reps throughout a week actually allows you to learn those motions. So that's where you probably learned a lot of those skills and the repetition and the body awareness and things like that. And then the same capacity where if you just constantly just workload, just a massive overload, it's tougher to actually learn some of those skills.
Right.
So it's kind of like a mix of both in my mind, where I've always felt that a youth athlete, when they have this much energy and your ability to recover, you probably should focus on the repetitions and learning the proper movements once you get to college, because that's the biggest thing. It's basically once you get to college and you have like a scholarship, you are relatively getting paid to play a sport. Once you get actually to becoming a professional athlete, that's your livelihood. And so the whole point is staying healthy. And I always felt that the main part is learning those small skills that keep you healthy early on from those repetitions.
Yeah.
I feel like capacity would cross over in that too. Where once you build a capacity, your body's able to handle the longevity and the injury prevention stuff. I think would play a huge part of that. So,
I mean, how many times you see a guy go to college, they have their session going on with hang cleans or some sort of cleans, and some guy has terrible form, does some freak accident, and he's out for the year.
Right.
There's always some guy he's got an arm in a sling. He's like, oh, what happened? It's a typical weight injury.
Right.
So
you can't get hurt in practice or weight training or anything that you get hurt. If you get hurt in the game, but don't get hurt, training for it or doing something that you can control.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I'm going to have to hop off the chat here in another half inning. So if you guys have any questions that you want to answer before I hop off or before we end the stream tonight, let us know. We'll try to answer them this half inning. Where's the dog, Tosh? The chat wants to know.
the dog is with the girlfriend at home.
Good
He
place
missed
for the
out.
dog.
He missed out on today.
Good place for the dog.
Yeah. He does enjoy baseball games though.
Is that because he gets to chew on
Bats.
bats? Yeah.
And he gets lots of
Bats
Baltic
and sprats.
Bats and sprats, man.
That's right.
Yep. He'll probably be on the next one.
Oh, aggressive swing.
Were they saying that Gurriel's rookie season was when he was 32?
32, yeah.
That's
He came over from Cuba. Tim, what do you know about quick twitch? The chat says, what do you know about quick twitch? I was told my 9-year-old had that.
Quick twitch.
Yeah.
That I mean, I think
Muscle fiber, right?
if that's I'd probably just say it's just a type 2 muscle fiber, type 2 X, and 9-year-old wise, I'd be curious about what was the context of that. I guess.
So what types of muscle are there? Because you
Yeah.
hear like the general thing is it quick twitch, fast twitch,
Yeah.
slow twitch,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
and it's probably just how people describe it. It's not actually what's going on. But what type of muscle fibers are there, and what do they correlate with?
Yeah. So yeah, you're gonna have your type 1, which is gonna be your slow twitch. It's gonna be more aerobically based. So it's gonna have longer endurance. So you think about like endurance runners. You watch a marathon, and the people finishing are very slim. They're skinny. And they can handle a lot of the endurance based events. Then you got your type 2. Two different types of type 2, but we'll just type 2, type 2X. Both are fast twitch, more anaerobically driven. So it's going to be about those energy systems between aerobic and anaerobic. So anaerobic is going to be more higher octane, if you will. So that's going to be your fast twitch muscle fibers, just the ability to contract quicker and generate higher forces, if you will, on that aspect. I shouldn't say contract quicker; it's higher force. Is what it is. And so. So when you're twitchier, that's kind of the context of it is going to be you're able to produce force at a high rate.
Now, can you train one type to be another, or is it just like a genetic, like I have 20% this and 80% that, or whatever?
So as far as like overall musculature, you're going to you can change some properties of the muscle to be twitchier, right? So if you work an off-season, strength training program like the one you're in right now, working on a lot of speed and speed movements, you're going to increase the, the ability for your musculature to fire at a higher, power output or speed, if you will. So to generate speed. So I'd say in that context, you can train the. It was almost a
That was
nice
almost
play.
a great play. Yeah.
Diving stop almost by the second baseman. So I would say to answer the question, you can train the principle of the muscle. It's of the muscle itself, if you will.
Gotcha.
So
if you're a young kid and you are slow twitch right now, it doesn't mean you're always going to be slow twitch.
No, yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah. So you can actually train around that. And
yeah.
There's like a muscle fiber type that floats kind of in the middle, right? That can be recruited one way or the other depending on.
Yeah, and that's the type 2 itself will be kind of a mix of anaerobic, aerobic. You'll have that hybrid too.
And it can swing one way or the other depending on
stimulus.
Yeah.
So if you're going to train, if you want to train, or you're in a training block that's more aerobically based, the adaptation is going to be more of that aerobic, presence in nature. So
have you found that like people that are a little bit more aerobically driven are like a little bit more on the elastic side in regards to like their muscle fiber?
How would you describe like elastic? What are your thoughts on the elastic side?
Like, I don't know if it's like more like flexible or whatever, but I feel like guys that I've seen that like are, maybe not as like fast twitch, like when you see like a lot of football players and like skill specific guys in football and basketball, like very fast twitch, maybe not as like flexible, like a lot of limits in like their range of motion, where like you see a guy that's maybe a little bit on the lower end of that spectrum. Maybe he's on the other, he's got another type of muscle fiber, like the aerobic side is kind of where he caters to. Like those guys always seem to be really bendy, at least in my mind. I don't know if that's something
the cross-sectional area of a fast twitch athlete is going to be a lot greater than a slow twitch. So I think naturally you're going to have that tight appearance. So as far as like elasticity, injury rates, stuff like that, I think naturally you're going to have the body breaking down more, the more tension it's going to be. So a faster twitch athlete's going to have more, probably pounds of force placed on their body. So I think the body's going to break a little bit quicker. I think too, when you develop musculature, like we're talking about the tight hip flexor concept, right? Like we're going to have some imbalances, and if you have one imbalance and you're producing a lot of force with an imbalance, that is going to be a huge significant issue when it comes to athletic performance.
Like the reason I ask is like baseball is such an explosive movement, like pitching, hitting, like it's, being able to create a bunch of power in like a limited time frame. So, but on the other side of that spectrum, like what Trevor was doing with like his training in high school, like he was training a lot of those like elastic components. So I guess like there's like an idea of like you have to be explosive and like you have to be fast twitch in order to be like a good baseball player. or being able to throw at like high velocities, where I was curious if maybe like being a little bit more aerobically driven and maybe having a little bit more of those elastic properties still allows you to accomplish the same end goal, and like being able to throw hard and being able to generate high velocities.
It comes back to long-term athletic development. So, throughout just overall growth in each age and, age marker you hit, things that your body's going to absorb better. So I think, certain, and I'd have to dive into the research a little bit to get more.
Oh,
Did you miss it?
Yeah.
just off the end. Ooh. All right, so now we get Altuve, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Last at bat before you got to go. So we're going to do the home run card here. Altuve making up for the air. I'm going to do it.
I love
All right.
that.
I'll take the 3 pull-ups I got.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Altuve. He's not wearing a mic tonight, so
Jesus.
I'm so sorry. I'm not at all. Just stirring the pot.
All right.
Let's see what we got here. Altuve. Basically a bullpen game for the Red Sox in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be big for the rest of the series because the Astros play everyone.
Oh, no way. Tim!
He did it! Unbelievable!
He knew the slider was
What a
coming.
home run call. Wow!
Go do your pull-ups.
Oh
Josh.
my gosh! Unbelievable!
We got
All 3 of you got 2. I meant with the actual ball grip.
Oh,
2 finger pull-ups.
that's-
We weren't-
I can't believe.
As you're good. Just
Oh,
get
the
halfway,
freaking
buddy. You got to
first-
pitch tomorrow. No. Get down. You got to pitch tomorrow.
Wow!
Respect.
The first pitch
I gotta
too.
participate.
All right, Tim.
Unbelievable.
He was looking the slider the whole time.
Oh.
Oh,
mean-
wow! What a call.
Whew.
Man.
That's high quality stuff.
That's
Right there.
very
Good for
good.
you.
Lottery ticket?
That's just wow.
That's pretty cool.
Tonight, go get a lottery ticket. Is that what we're saying?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
about as spot
yeah.
on as any sort of call I've seen.
It didn't
Yeah.
even. It took one pitch.
It took nothing.
Unbelievable.
I think Tim just submitted himself as like the MVP of this live stream.
Yeah. I mean, he's been answering the most questions.
No.
He's been running them, and then that.
And then that, yeah.
I mean, show off, man.
It's
This
today's
stream's
my
been
day.
Tim's
Today
stream.
is my day. Tomorrow, be humbled quickly.
You ain't gonna be eating humble pie.
In-
It's gonna be turkey, rib, and bison there.
Wow. What a turn of events right there.
Oof.
That's not a strike, sir.
Brantley just.
There's. Do you see his
Yeah,
reaction?
every
It's the
time.
same every time. He turns and faces the umpire and is like, "No." Unbelievable.
So when Brantley's not a DH, what position is he playing?
Left field.
Outfield,
Left field.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't watch much American League this year, or the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Good
yeah.
for you.
Great for you, honestly.
Good for you.
That's such a call.
Guy's got the good juju tonight, man.
He does.
I just naturally gravitate to like Altuve because we're about the same height, same
That's
frame, a little
Cheering for
bit,
him.
Yeah.
I got you.
Oh,
I already as soon as it happened, I got up and I was just
yeah,
walking to
just
get the
immediately.
pull-ups. Like,
Yeah.
all right.
I was supposed to have an off day from the weight room today, and here
I'm
I
sorry.
am doing pull-ups.
Get your peach limeade protein shake.
Peach limeade vanilla.
Oh, that's right, the vanilla.
Yeah. Oh,
Are you still on that phase of your diet, or did it change up? It's that until what, day 45, I think.
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm still on that phase.
Okay.
I think it's from day 45 till I think that one's day 65 or 70.
There's a 75 switch over there.
Maybe it might be a
and
75.
90. I just
yeah.
didn't know if it took one out, put others in, or
Yeah.
because there's one that prolonged all the way to like I think
Yeah,
right
the
around there
whole way
to
through.
65.
Yeah. That's a ball.
He called it a strike earlier.
He did call it a strike earlier. Brantley said, "No, sir, don't call that again."
No.
Walk here for Brant.
No.
Wow, that was a nice
Oof.
pitch.
I mean, he had to nick the black for
Right.
Brantley to accept it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Way to end the
well,
stream on
we're
a high
gonna-
note, Tim.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. At least you made my home run bet actually a thing.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Yep.
I love it. We got to come up with rules. Like I think we need to have like a card for every hit, like a single, double, triple, home run. And
Yeah.
Just prediction.
you got to place like 2 of the 4 at
Yeah.
one point in the game.
Yeah,
or
you
something
have
like
to
that.
you have to play them, and there's consequences for each of them. I like
Yeah.
that.
I'm in.
All right, stream. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you again soon.
Lights are on point too.
Yeah. They look